The echo of the gavel cracked through the courtroom, each strike heavy as thunder, freezing breaths in the air. Claire Bennett sat rigid, her hands trembling against the polished bench, eyes locked on the judge's stern face. Marcus Hale leaned close, whispering, "It isn't over, not yet," his voice threaded with urgency. Across the aisle, Evelyn Ward folded her hands calmly, her lips curved in a faint smile that carried more menace than comfort. Jason Cross glanced around the room, his jaw tight as he sensed betrayals lurking in familiar faces. Then, as silence fell, a phone buzzed in Claire's bag, its vibration a jarring intrusion. She pulled it free, her breath catching as she read the message. "The truth dies at midnight. Choose your side." The words twisted inside her, forcing the moment into a countdown none of them could stop. Outside the courthouse, the air carried the weight of storms not yet broken. Claire stood frozen on the steps, clutching her bag like a lifeline. Marcus said, "I've already set the clock. Midnight isn't just a warning, it's a trap." Claire looked past him, her gaze drawn to Evelyn standing across the street, framed by neon reflections in rain-slick pavement. Jason lingered near the shadows of a nearby alley, the restless flicker of his cigarette burning too quickly. The city hummed with muted menace, every passing car echoing like a countdown. Claire whispered, "If the truth dies tonight, then so do we." Claire moved quickly through narrow city streets, her footsteps echoing in sync with the pulse of her fear. Marcus followed close behind, scanning every corner. Jason's voice echoed from behind them, low and rough. "They're watching every move." Claire turned, catching his shadowed figure leaning against the wall, his cigarette glowing like a warning beacon. Evelyn's silhouette lingered further down the road, half hidden beneath the dripping awning of a closed cafe. The storm clouds pressed low, and thunder cracked overhead, splitting the tension wide open. Claire's thoughts raced. Every street felt like a trap, every glance like betrayal. The group gathered beneath a cracked street lamp, its pale glow flickering like a heartbeat. Marcus said, "We can't stay here. They'll corner us before midnight." Claire's grip tightened on her phone, the words on the screen still searing into her mind. Jason stepped closer, his tone sharp. "Maybe the trap is already set." Evelyn's voice carried across the damp air, calm and cutting. "Justice isn't about truth, it's about control." Claire's chest ached as the memory of her sister's laughter rose like a ghost, the lingering memory hovering unseen but felt. The night pressed down, demanding choices none were ready to make. A sudden crash echoed from the alley, the sound of glass shattering like a warning. Claire spun, her heart hammering as shadows moved fast against the walls. Marcus drew closer, shielding her instinctively. Jason stepped into the broken light, his expression grim. "We're not alone." Evelyn emerged slowly, her posture unshaken, her smile colder than steel. Claire's phone buzzed again, another message flashing. "You've already chosen. Justice or revenge, there is no middle." Her knees weakened as the weight of fate pressed down, every face around her a possible enemy, every second another step toward midnight's reckoning. Claire sat in the dim corner of a diner, the rain tapping against fogged windows, like a relentless drum. Her coffee cooled untouched, a bitter reminder of her trembling restraint. Marcus sat opposite, his steady eyes searching her face. He said, "You're holding too much inside, and it's going to break you." Claire shook her head, her lips pressed tight, the unread letter in her bag whispering louder than his words. Jason slipped into the booth, his voice harsh. "You're lying to yourself. That message isn't just a warning, it's a sentence." Claire's chest ached as she caught the faint reflection of Evelyn standing outside, perfectly still in the storm. The diner's hum softened as Evelyn finally entered, her steps measured, her expression unreadable. She greeted the waitress by name, her tone gentle, almost tender. Marcus stiffened, his hand tightening around his glass. Claire forced her breath steady, whispering, "She's always too calm when the world is burning." Evelyn slid into the booth across from her, her voice soothing. "You're carrying weight no one should bear alone." For a moment, Claire wanted to believe, but Jason's glare cut through the illusion. His words carried fire. Every kindness costs more than you can pay. The warmth of Evelyn's voice lingered, but it carried the sharpness of a blade hidden in velvet. A sudden noise cracked the night outside, and the door burst open with energy. Standing there was Alex Rivers, restless eyes scanning every detail, a sketchbook clutched under one arm. Claire recognized the teenager instantly, the figure from her past she thought lost. Alex said, "They lied to you, and they'll do it again." His voice cut sharp, his words sparking like flint in dry kindling. Marcus rose halfway, caught between defense and recognition. Evelyn's smile faltered for the first time, her control thinning. Jason muttered, "This is the fire starter. They'll burn us down before we even choose our side." Claire's pulse raced, caught between the comfort of denial and the pain of truth. The storm outside roared louder, and in the brief silence between thunder, Claire swore she heard her sister's voice. The lingering memory drifted in the periphery. A humming tune, a laugh once alive. Claire's chest tightened as if haunted by her own shadow. Marcus touched her shoulder, grounding her, whispering, "Don't let ghosts steer your choices." Jason muttered under his breath, "Sometimes ghosts see clearer than the living." Alex's eyes narrowed, sketching quickly in his notebook, capturing fragments none of them wanted to face. Evelyn watched silently, her gaze heavy, as though she too saw the ghost and refused to acknowledge it. The air felt carved by memory, fragile and merciless. The diner's neon flickered, as if in rhythm with the countdown ticking inside them. Claire whispered, "Every choice feels like betrayal." Evelyn leaned in, her calm voice sharp as glass. "That's because the truth is betrayal." Marcus countered firmly, "Truth is all we have left." Jason slammed his fist lightly on the table, the silverware clattering as he growled, "No, survival is all we have." Alex looked up from his sketch, eyes burning. "Survival without truth isn't living." Claire felt every word cut deeper, her pulse heavy with dread. Midnight drew nearer, and the fragile trust binding them trembled, threatening to collapse. The night deepened as the group left the diner, their footsteps echoing against the wet pavement. Marcus led the way, his eyes scanning for threats that might already be closing in. Claire clutched her bag tightly, the unread letter heavy as stone against her chest. Jason walked close, his words edged with suspicion. "Evidence doesn't vanish by accident, it's erased." Evelyn's voice slid smoothly between them, calm and deliberate. "Evidence is nothing without power, and power chooses what truth survives." Alex darted ahead, restless energy driving him forward, sketchbook open as if capturing shadows themselves. Every corner felt rigged, every silence alive with betrayal. They slipped into an abandoned warehouse, the air thick with rust and dust. Jason lit a lantern, shadows stretching tall across the cracked walls. Marcus said, "This place will keep us hidden, but not for long." Claire's voice wavered. "Hidden from who? Truth or lies?" Alex crouched low, sketching broken machinery like secrets refusing to stay buried. Evelyn remained near the door, her composure unshaken, as though she already owned the space. Jason muttered, "I've seen loyalty sell itself cheaper than this light." Marcus turned sharply, his tone iron, "Not tonight." The warehouse seemed to breathe with them, its silence holding more weight than words. The tension broke as Jason slammed the lantern onto a crate, its light flickering wildly. He growled, "We can't trust each other, not when every move is poison." Claire stepped forward, her voice cracking. "We have no choice but to trust, because without it, there's nothing left." Alex snapped his sketchbook closed, his glare sharp. "Trust dies the moment truth is hidden." Evelyn's smile returned, slow and deliberate. "And yet, hiding truth is what's kept you alive until now." Marcus clenched his fists, torn between silence and command. Shadows danced across their faces, each word carving deeper fractures into fragile unity. The storm outside rattled the warehouse roof, each thunderclap louder than the last. Claire whispered, "It feels like time itself is collapsing." Evelyn moved closer, her heels striking against the cracked floor, her tone soft yet commanding. "You mistake collapse for revelation. Power doesn't crumble, it shifts. Jason spat. You've shifted enough truths to bury a city. Alex pressed himself against a wall, eyes darting, sketching Evelyn with lines sharp as knives. Marcus's voice cut through the rising storm. You're the shadow in all of this. You've always been. For the first time, Evelyn's gaze flickered, just slightly, like glass about to crack. The warehouse doors banged open, wind and rain surging inside like a warning. Claire stumbled back, her voice breaking. We're running out of time. Jason steadied the lantern, its flame shaking violently. Marcus shouted above the storm. This ends tonight, one way or another. Alex's eyes flashed, his words cutting. Justice isn't waiting, it's demanding. Evelyn remained calm, her figure outlined in the storm's lightning whispering, revenge demands more. Claire felt every heartbeat louder than thunder, the choice already chasing her down. Midnight no longer felt distant, it pressed against them with every breath, each of them pulled closer to betrayal's edge. The storm finally eased, leaving the warehouse in silence broken only by dripping water. Claire leaned against the wall, her breath ragged, when Alex spoke sharply. You never told them the truth. His eyes burned into her, sketchbook clutched like evidence. Marcus turned, stunned. What truth? Claire's face paled, words caught in her throat. Evelyn's smile sharpened, her voice silken. Secrets always rot in the dark. Jason growled, stop circling, say it. Alex tore a page from his book, the image of Claire standing with Evelyn years ago. Claire's chest tightened, guilt flooding her. I was there, she whispered. The night everything ended. The sketch fluttered to the ground, its lines cutting deeper than words. Marcus's voice cracked. You stood with her. You stood with Evelyn. Claire's eyes filled, her voice trembling. I didn't know. I was blind, and by the time I saw, it was too late. Jason's fists clenched, fury lacing his tone. You let us bleed for your silence. Evelyn stepped forward, unshaken. She chose survival over loyalty, don't we all? Alex's stare pierced Claire, his words like a wound. You chose silence, and silence chose death. Claire's heart fractured, the weight of betrayal finally spoken into the storm's aftermath. Jason paced furiously, the lantern's light throwing broken arcs across his face. We trusted you, Claire, he spat, and you kept the blade in our backs. Claire's voice was barely a whisper. I thought silence would keep us safe. Evelyn's laughter was soft, cutting like glass. Safety is an illusion bought by sacrifice. Marcus' shoulders slumped, his voice low. Maybe we've been fighting the wrong enemy all along. Alex slammed his sketchbook shut, declaring, the wrong enemy is silence, not the shadows. Silence kills. The air thickened with revelation, every bond unraveling under the weight of exposed truth. A flash of lightning lit the room as Evelyn finally revealed her hand. You think I wove lies into your lives, but truth? I didn't need to weave it, it was already broken. Claire stepped back, shaking her head. You destroyed us. Evelyn's eyes locked on her, unwavering. No, Claire. You destroyed yourself when you chose silence. Jason's growl echoed. You twisted her, made her your pawn. Marcus clenched his jaw, the storm of betrayal clear. You've held us in your grip for years. Evelyn's calm voice sliced through them. And still, you kneel at the mercy of midnight. Thunder rolled, and in its wake, Claire heard the soft hum of a song, her sister's melody echoing through the broken silence. Her knees weakened, the lingering memory pressing against her heart. Alex froze, whispering, You hear it too. Marcus's face hardened, realization dawning. This isn't just about evidence. It's about the dead still speaking. Jason's eyes narrowed. If her ghost lingers, then truth isn't buried. Evelyn's expression flickered, for the first time betraying fear. Claire's voice cracked. She's not gone. She's leading us. The hum grew louder, fragile yet unrelenting, a haunting promise of revelation still to come. The warehouse gave way to the courthouse once more, the storm dragging them back to the place where justice was meant to breathe. Claire stood at the center of the room, her body trembling, but her eyes unblinking. Marcus said firmly, This is where it ends, not in shadows but here. Jason slammed papers onto the table, fragments of evidence stitched together from whispers and betrayal. Evelyn remained composed, her voice smooth. Justice isn't truth, it's performance, and I've perfected the stage. Alex raised his sketchbook high, pages filled with their history, declaring, "Then, let the stage burn with truth." Midnight neared, and every heartbeat thundered like a verdict. Claire's voice rose, carrying through the room. I stayed silent, and silence killed more than truth ever could. Marcus stepped closer, his hand steady on her shoulder, whispering, "Then speak now. Make it count." Jason leaned forward, his tone sharp as broken glass. "Speak, or we're already dead." Evelyn's smile thinned, her composure cracking. Words can't undo what's been carved in blood. Alex shouted, his eyes wild, "But they can shatter the chains you built." The air thickened, the courthouse creaking under the storm's force. Claire inhaled sharply, her chest heavy with years of guilt, finally ready to ignite the fire of truth. Claire's confession poured out like a flood, every word sharp, every memory raw. She named Evelyn as the architect, her influence woven into every tragedy. Marcus's fists clenched, his loyalty anchoring her resolve. Jason's eyes narrowed, voice low. "So, it was you, all along." Evelyn stood, her grace cracking, venom lacing her words. "I gave you survival. You called it betrayal." Alex slammed his sketchbook down, voice fiery. "Survival without truth is death." Lightning flashed outside, illuminating faces caught in the storm of revelation. Claire's voice cracked. No more silence, no more lies. The clock ticked closer to midnight, echoing like fate itself. The tension snapped like a wire. Jason lunged forward, rage boiling, but Marcus intercepted, his voice roaring, "Not this way." Claire held her ground, shouting, "Justice isn't revenge, it's choosing what survives after the storm." Evelyn's laughter echoed bitterly. "Justice is a word you dress wounds with, nothing more." Alex's eyes blazed, his voice cracking. "No, justice is the wound healing, even if it scars." The storm rattled the glass, thunder exploding above them as if the heavens demanded an answer. For the first time, Evelyn faltered, her eyes darting to Claire. Midnight pressed against the walls, the choice bleeding into the air. The courthouse clock struck 12, its chime reverberating through the storm. Claire stepped forward, voice steady. "I choose truth." Her words sliced the air, silencing even thunder. Marcus stood beside her, unwavering. "Then we stand with you." Jason exhaled, fury softening into grim acceptance. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her last defense crumbling. "Truth will destroy you." Alex's voice rang out, fierce and unyielding. "Truth destroys lies, not us." The storm seemed to pause, holding its breath. Claire lifted her head high for the first time, free of silence. Midnight had come, and the choice was sealed, not in shadows, but in unflinching light. The courthouse fell into silence after midnight's echo faded. Claire lowered her trembling hands, her voice steady but soft. "The truth is spoken, and I want to take it back." Marcus stood close, his presence anchoring her resolve. Jason leaned against the bench, his anger cooled into weary exhaustion. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her control fractured, whispering, "Truth isn't survival. It's ruin." Alex stepped forward, defiant, "Then let ruin be honest." The storm outside began to fade, replaced by a cold stillness that felt almost heavier. Claire's chest ached, but for the first time, it carried more release than guilt. The battle had left scars, but silence was finally broken. Marcus's steady voice cut the silence. "We stood in shadows too long. Tonight we choose where the light falls." Claire's eyes glistened as she nodded, her voice soft. "Even if the light burns, it's better than endless dark." Jason exhaled slowly, his fists unclenching as though surrendering the fight he had carried for years. Evelyn's tone dripped with disdain. "Do you think truth will protect you? It will consume you instead." Alex lifted his sketchbook, showing a page of broken chains, declaring, "Then, let us be consumed free." Claire felt the weight shift, the tide turning from silence to fragile defiance, fragile yet unyielding. The echoes of the trial faded into the night, but not all wounds closed. Jason's voice broke the silence, low and harsh. "I've betrayed before, and I might again. Trust isn't my gift, it's my weakness." Marcus turned to him, firm but steady. "Weakness is pretending you've never broken. Owning it is strength." Claire whispered, "We survived, but we'll carry the cracks." Evelyn's gaze lingered on them, her composure rebuilt. "Cracks make you fragile, and fragile people break." Alex answered her, his tone sharp. "Sometimes cracks let the light in." The group stood in fragile unity, bound by scars, and the unrelenting weight of what survived. They stepped outside into streets, washed clean by the storm. Claire inhaled deeply, the air sharp but lighter than before. Marcus walked beside her, his tone low. "Justice isn't a destination, it's surviving the path." Jason trailed, his gaze restless, muttering, "Paths twist, they always do." Evelyn remained behind, her silhouette framed by courthouse lights, her voice echoing, "This isn't justice, it's only the first step to more ruin." Alex turned, sketchbook raised like a shield. "Then let the first step be ours." Claire's heart steadied, each breath carrying the truth she had feared for too long. The night ended, but the fight remained. The morning sun broke faintly through lingering clouds, streaks of gold piercing the gray horizon. Claire whispered, "The truth costs more than silence, but it breathes." Marcus answered quietly, "And we breathe with it." Jason lit a cigarette, his tone weary but calm. "Maybe we live scarred, but we live." Evelyn watched from a distance, her voice a blade across the air. "Scars fade, and with them, so does conviction." Alex closed his sketchbook with finality, his voice clear. "Conviction doesn't fade, it waits." The group stood in fragile unity, the storm behind them but its echoes stitched into every heartbeat. Justice was not perfect, but it lived. The courthouse doors shut behind them, and silence returned heavier than the storm. Claire stood still on the steps, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Her voice carried low, "We won something tonight, but it doesn't feel like victory." Marcus stood beside her, his tone steady. "Justice rarely feels like triumph, it feels like survival." Jason exhaled smoke into the cold morning air, muttering, "And survival always demands its toll." Evelyn lingered near the shadows, her presence unbroken, whispering, "The toll has only begun." Alex looked at them all, sketchbook pressed against his chest. "Maybe scars are the price for truth." The silence swallowed their words, leaving only the weight of what remained. The air shifted as dawn stretched further, casting long shadows across the square. Claire whispered, her voice still lingers, "My sister's song won't let me go." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her with quiet strength. Jason's eyes softened, his tone low. "Sometimes the dead stay louder than the living." Evelyn's smirk returned faintly, her voice sharp, "Ghosts are chains, not guides." Alex shook his head fiercely. "No, ghosts remind us where we failed, so we don't fail again." Claire's chest tightened as the humming tune seemed to echo in the distance, fragile and haunting, as if memory itself was refusing to die. They walked slowly through the streets, the city strangely quiet after chaos. Claire's voice trembled. "Every step forward feels like I'm walking with her shadow." Marcus nodded, his words calm. "Her shadow walks with us all now." Jason flicked his cigarette into the gutter, his tone dry. "Then let her haunt the guilty, not us." Evelyn's reply was ice. "The guilty wear no labels. Sometimes, they're the ones you protect." Alex slammed his sketchbook shut, anger sparking. "And sometimes, they're the ones who write history." Claire felt the words settle like lead, truth and lies indistinguishable in the morning air. A church bell tolled faintly in the distance, its sound haunting the silence. Claire stopped, her voice trembling. "What if truth is nothing more than another prison?" Marcus's answer was firm. "Then it's a prison we choose, not one forced on us." Jason's tone was bitter. "Prisons don't disappear, only change their walls." Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes sharp as steel. "And I will always build the walls higher." Alex snapped back, his voice fiery. "Then we will break them, again and again." The bell faded into silence, leaving the group at a crossroads, their unity fragile but unbroken by fear. The group reached the edge of the city as the sun broke through, fragile light cutting across their faces. Claire whispered, "Justice is never clean, never perfect, but it's all we can cling to." Marcus added softly, "And if we let go, there's nothing left." Jason's voice was low, heavy. "The choice will echo whether we want it or not." Evelyn smiled faintly, her words chilling. "Echoes fade, but lies endure longer than truth." Alex looked skyward, his voice strong. "Not if we carve the truth into stone." Claire closed her eyes, hearing her sister's hum one last time. The final haunting question lingered. Was this justice, or only revenge?